I'm going to recommend you some epic fantasy books I generally think you'll love if you love Romantasy. Now, I'm learning what my tastes are in Romantasy, and most of the time it's just gay, which is totally fine, right? I just feel like they do a lot of things better. I'm planning to do a video on that. But here are some books I generally think you will like if you read Romantasy books. First off, I'm going to recommend Brandon Sanderson. Just most of his stuff. There is no romance in it, but I think it's so accessible enough, and the plot is there that you would just be hooked. Like, I'd go Warbreaker or Mistborn, right? I'm not entirely sure about Stormlight because it's very, very epic, but I recommend you give it a go. I'm not going to explain Brandon Sanderson to you. Everybody knows who he is. If you don't, comment below and I will type it out. But that is definitely a series I think you will like if you read romance, is you just try Brandon Sanderson. We're going to start off with Iron Widow. There is a polyamorous relationship in here, which loved. But it's not a main part of the plot. It takes very, very little page time. But the character in this is incredible. I know it's sci-fi, but it's still good. Zeaton, which is different from Zirin. I don't know why I keep getting those two confused. Follow the character Zeaton, who goes on this... She tries to go on the ship to get revenge because how this ship series works is they use women co-pilots and they basically end up killing them for how the system works, like the magic system and all that kind of stuff. She ends up going on there to try and get revenge for the person who killed her sister. And it's more nuanced than that. There's more in depth to it. It's incredible. So full of revenge. It's not female rage. It's just revenge. Okay? This is something I genuinely think you would like. Just try it. The Jasmine Throne. I know this is book 3. I've lent the Jasmine Throne out to my boss. But this is lesbians. It is have some yearning. There is some angst in this. There's love in this, but there's also a deeper plot alongside it. And you can technically remove the romance and the plot will still stand. So that's what it is. The magic system is just incredible. Pekimia. Oh my god, there's so many POVs. Not a load of POVs, but just some POVs in this. But Pekimia, she is my favourite of all time. And she is a mother. And she is living in a man's world. And she knows how to manipulate men. She's not even a main character in this. She's a POV, but not a main character. Then you have Malini, who is the embodiment of Cersei, but better. and then you have Priya, who again is part of these magic people who are sort of shunned, and they sort of hiding in place because of what stuff has happened, and it's not complicated, but I generally think you will love the Jasmine Throne. It's just try it, just trust me. I'm also going to recommend Miss Percy's Pocket Guide. There is a cinnamon roll man in this. He is so sweet, and the romance really isn't a major part of this book. But I was living for it. What's gone with my voice? I was just... every time those two were on screen together or they had alone time, I was screaming. I was like, yes! Yes! Which probably sounds deranged as I was listening to this while I'm at work, and I'm not legit screaming, but anyway, I'm freaking out and people look at me like, what, are you weird? And I'm like, look, I'm just weird, accept it. Imagine a middle-aged spinster who's living with her sister, and her sister is using her to basically raise her kids. And she's sort of shut indoors all the time. She's not quite like Cinderella, but I get the kind of vibe, if you know what I mean. She's been degraded, she, brought down all the time just for stuff her sister has said. She inherits a rock, and she ends up trying to hide this stuff she's inherited with a suitcase, and the cinnamon roll guy comes and helps. And it turns out that one of the stuff she inherited was this rock, and it turns out it was a dragon egg. And the dragon hatches, and they had no idea what to do with the dragon. It's tiny, it fits in the palm of your hand. And then you were trying to, go through this quaint little town in England, stopping this dragon from wreaking havoc, but also stopping people from realising it's a dragon because they don't want people to come take the dragon away. And chaos ensues. It's cosy, and it's fun, and the romance, sweet as ever. Just love it. I am also going to recommend Dragon Rider. Does it have any romance in it? No. But I generally think you will like it. Because it's similar to Aragon, but it is adult. It is adult. And there's some stuff happens in this. There's kind of... I don't know. I just get the vibe you will like it. I really do get the vibe you like it. I mean, it's dragons. What else are you not going to like, right? It's dragons. It's full of repression. I have a feeling book 2 is going to go towards revolution. The characters I just loved. The dragons, they're just the best. I just love the dragons. There are some, honest to God, horrific people in this. And you follow this, I want to say his name is Jai. And he is serving his conqueror, because he was conquered when he was really young, and he's taken on as like a ward kind of thing. He hates the guy who conquered him, but he also kind of cares for him, because again, he's also been caring for him for so long, and the old man's very, very old. All this going on, so there's complicated feelings going through this, and somebody raises up and ends up. Things happen, red wedding scene happened, it's thrust into a plot from there. There's a grumpy old drunkard in this, and I really, really wish more authors would do grumpy old drunkards, because I loved him. He came on page and I was like, yes, give me more. Book 2 is coming out this year. I generally think this was something that you would like. Gael Song series. Now, there is some romance in this. There's also toxic romance. There's also nice romance. There's forbidden romance. But this is not a romance. This is Irish mythology. This is two main characters. One is a sweet little healer who I didn't think I'd like, but I love. And the other one is like a Cersei type figure, Gormla, who will do whatever it takes to have power in a world, historical fiction, where women don't have power, but she is also magical as well. So it's kind of ironic that she doesn't have any power, but she is magical, and people don't know she's magical. She has to hide who she is. And it's brutal, absolutely brutal. I realise this is book 3. Book 1's over there. I'm lazy. I can't be asked to grab it. Highly recommend you read this. I generally think you will like it. You will really, really like it. Look, I'm putting this here on a whim, right? You'll either love it or hate this. This is tripping. This is tripping. This is a Marmite book. I love Gideon. This is lesbians. This is gay shit. Gideon is the gayest character you'll come across. It's nowhere near a romance, but there is something so beautiful about this story, is about how Gideon interacts with a certain character and how they unfold across the 3 books, and how it's just lovely, and it's the underlying message is really, really deeply moving, but you don't realise this until you finish the book and you go back and you think on it, and then you're like, wait a minute, what? It's also heartbreaking. It's everything I wanted in the book. You will either love Gideon or you will hate it. It's something that you just have to trust the process with. Every woman needs to read this. Every man, actually, change plan. Every man needs to read this. This is suffragette in like an Egyptian kind of place. And you follow 2 women. One of them is very, very outspoken. The other one is quieter, but it doesn't mean she's not strong. You know, it's that kind of vibe, you know. And one of them marries a man, and she agrees to do it, so he will agree to send her to this magic school. The other woman is, again, from a poor side of the... She's poor, right? And her family is putting pressure on her to marry. She doesn't want to do it, but again, it's this kind of place where men choose who women marry. It's forced marriages, all of this kind of going on. But also, she's part of a suffragette group. And it's so full of rage that everybody needs to read this, because this is also part of history. Even though it's fantasy, even though it's not even historical, it's just fantasy, it's deserving of it. This is beautiful. Some people may argue, isn't that a romance? No, it's not, right? Yes, there is a romance in it, doesn't mean it's a romance. This is stunning. So Jack the Bard has been called back to the land for some reasons that I have completely forgotten. I have read this, it was just a while ago. And he meets an old childhood friend, and they try and solve some plots because people are going missing, children are going missing, and there's all sorts of things happening. There's magic is extra, like, it's lovely. And it feels very fairy tale-esque. Very, very, like... You like a fairy tale, you would like this. And I loved how it ended. It's a duology. I like the two characters together. The plot works really, really well. There's also a character in this where she is a stepmother to a child that ends up going missing, and she's so worried. And her husband, who she's with, who is actually his child, he's worried, and she's worried about him and how they come together and how they work through a lot of things. It's just lovely. Everybody should go read it. These are the epic fantasy books I think you will like if you read romance books. So drop some recommendations down below, and I'll see you in the next one.